Hey, what's up, party people? Happy Hump Day. We are here live for your enjoyment for a action-packed SJU. We wanted to have like kind of a free-ranging discussion today on nostalgia in movies, self-referential stuff that every franchise seems to be resorting to. And then the Obi-Wan teaser trailer dropped. So let's react to that, baby. But maybe it'll be a nice segue into the discussion. But this dropped I don't know, 20 minutes ago, maybe an hour.
Eric told me there's an investor call happening right now, so that's why we're getting this
stuff. So stay tuned. Yeah, that's why we also got new Geppetto pictures just a second ago. This is exciting. Who knows what they'll announce by the end of this investor call.
And the Bridgerton season 2 trailer, Spencer. Where have you been?
Okay.
Well.
Yeah, I watched some of that over my wife's shoulder. Okay, so Obi-Wan. I'll start with my reaction. I think that it started out hilariously, which was like, as I've joked about it, like an old man watching a young boy from a cave in the series, and it very much looked like that. However, I did really enjoy the pivot off planet, and maybe the other point of view character of this like Imperial Jedi hunter. We might have a Boba Fett on our hands where it's like, I want to spend time with the other person that this series is not named after, because the idea of a Imperial agent tracking down Jedi, the last surviving Jedi, seems like a really fun premise, whereas an old man staring at a boy in a cave doesn't sound as exciting. And I think that the trailer reflected that for me. What are your guys' first reactions?
I mean, I've had enough of peeping Toms this past couple of weeks with Batman looking at Catwoman through his binoculars too. This is not a good trend. It's not a trend that I am on board with.
Hey, there was a few years of like the woman in the window and the girl on the train, and now it's now it's the older dude's turn.
It's our turn to creep again.
To creep, yeah. Creeping is back, folks.
So Lon, what do you think? You're talking about how happy you were to be off Tatooine, right?
Oh my God, that was my big fear about this. Was like, I can't, after Boba Fett, I'm bored of Tatooine. I want to get there's a whole universe out. I feel like Luke in A New Hope, where I'm like, this planet's boring. I want to go to the Imperial Academy. So yeah, I was very happy to see that there does appear to be planet hopping and travel, and we're going to get around and. That Hong Kong looking planet, I believe Dayu or Dayu, it's called, looks cool. I don't know, this looked pretty cool. I thought. I feel like using Duel of the Fates is almost unfair.
Yeah,
that iconic music kicks in and you're just like right there. It really kind of looks like all the best flavors from the prequels. And as somebody who obviously had my problems with the prequels, but I'm not an out and out prequel loather. I think that it plays to me. Like I can get excited about revisiting the cool stuff from the prequel. As long as we go back to Dexter Jettster's Diner.
I was going to say, Kim, what are the odds we have a Dexter Jettster Diner visit in Obi-Wan the series? They're best friends.
They're good friends. Dexter's got a lot of information.
I think the odds are high because we've got the writer of this series is Army of the Dead. So I'm imagining him embracing the comedy elements of Star Wars, and I hope to see Dexter. I think
Watto and Dexter, they're my big. I want to bring those guys back.
The tone of this trailer, though, suggests not, but we'll see. It felt quite serious.
It did feel quite serious. Yeah. And the images released, the promo images released are all just, it's literally like Obi-Wan leaning against a wall or squatting in a cave. And maybe this is like already in the lore, but like, do we know? I guess he's just like being Luke's bodyguard, like out of view. Well, like he's just protecting Luke somewhere else. Like, do we know what he does? Because it doesn't look like he does anything in this trailer. I mean, except look at Luke.
The original idea in the movies, like Lucas's movies, was he didn't really do anything. He was in exile, like he was living as a hermit in the desert. Like, I think we're gonna go in and fill in, give him some adventures now to make it more interesting than that. But yeah, I don't think any of us have any idea like what he would need to have been. It kind of doesn't make sense. He can't have been doing too much because nobody knew he was there.
Right. Now, this, my absolute favorite Star Wars fan theory that I know is not correct or canon, but my God, it just makes too much sense, is that actually Obi-Wan was using Luke as bait to bring Darth Vader back down to Tatooine, where he would run out and chop him up. Because why would you hide Luke Skywalker? Why'd you hide that boy Skywalker down there on Tatooine, Anakin's home planet, and just like seemingly undefended if he wasn't trying to draw him out back when Obi-Wan was still in his prime and he knew he could take down Anakin, and then he would just run out from the cave and chop him to pieces. I think wow, what are the phrases I'm coming up with today? Skywalker, that using Luke as a trap, it kind of would be a cool way to do an Obi-Wan series.
I think he's just bad at hiding, because he's also hiding out under his own name. Like Obi-Wan Kenobi to old Ben Kenobi, they almost sound identical. Like, go totally different. What are you doing, man?
I feel like he's hiding him in plain sight. Why wouldn't, that makes sense to me. I don't think he's trying to lure Vader down so he can chop him up. It went wrong. It went awry anyway, didn't it? So, well, we shall see what happens in this series, I suppose, and whether that plan did play out and it went awry this time too.
Can we get a spot lore check? I want to know more, Ryan, about the guy with the spinny lightsaber. That seems pretty cool. They keep coming up with new ways to swing a saber, right?
They're the Inquisitors of this group, right? Yeah, like this group of Jedi hunters who work for Darth Vader have been introduced canonically before. I don't think we're meeting them for the first time.
And I think that guy that he was talking to is meant to be the Grand Inquisitor.
Right.
Yes.
I would think.
And Star Wars Rebels heavy stuff.
Right.
And the video games.
And he's just spinning that down low off camera like a fidget spinner, just full of lightsaber.
And Darth Vader is kind of the general, I think, of the Inquisitors, and the Grand Inquisitor sits above him. As far as I'm aware.
So this is like a secret, not secret, Spider-Man No Way Home thing. Like, there's no way Hayden Christensen is not in this series, right?
Well, we know he's in it. It's confirmed.
Did he admitted it? Okay.
Yeah, they're not even like pretending to be funny, coy. Okay. Like, no. I believe we know for sure he's going to be it.
Gotcha.
This guy actually looks to me a bit like Death from Bill and Ted.
Wade Sadler?
Yes. I want to see them play Twister at the end.
When's he joining the Star Wars universe? Bill Sadler?
Yeah.
Maybe.
So as his bad guy from Die Hard 2.
If Obi-Wan is a success, what sliver of time, either immediately preceding or immediately following an original trilogy movie, is there left to turn into a Disney Plus series?
Well, we don't have a lot after the sequels, right? I mean, we don't know
after the
much
sequels.
No,
I mean original trilogy. I'm talking the first.
Original trilogy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. A character, or I mean, there's young Yoda.
Yeah,
Young Yoda Chronicles, sure.
Ryan asks, what was Frozen Han up to between episodes 5 and 6?
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, we could also cover ground that doesn't include any of the characters that we know within this time period.
How dare you? How dare you?
No.
I think. How about this?
I mean, there's Rogue One, right? Rogue One.
How about this?
That.
Max Rebo post, the films, but pre like Mandalorian.
Yeah, where he's just like gigging, like kind of.
He's gigging around Tatooine. Well, because he changes his style a lot. He's not really doing jizz music by the time he's in the casino. They switched over to more conventional sort of Earth sounds.
That's very true.
There was a pivot there at some point. That's gonna be interesting.
All right. Well,
some kind of La La Land in there.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Oh, I think we nailed it, guys. Like a musical Max Rebo, where he realizes, like, Mos Espa's growing. I got to mix up my style.
Yeah. Well, okay. So clearly, this one is trafficking in nostalgia. And let us know in the chat if there's anything left on this carcass to pick from the original trilogy to make a Disney Plus.
This feels to me like pure prequel nostalgia. This is like we're 20 years out from the prequels, and the kids who grew up with those are the adults who have Disney Plus now, and this is like zeroing directly in on that.
You're correct, but I feel like you're. It's kind of one and the same because the prequel characters are so similar to the original trilogy character. It's like
Well,
the
that's
Skywalker,
true, but
it's the Skywalkers,
like,
it's Obi-Wan. It's
I feel like like stuff that's nostalgic for the original trilogy. Those people are like me; they're like old now. This is like today's late 20s, early 30s. They're the prequel generation.
I feel like that's what all the cartoons have been for. Anyways, everything's nostalgic for something, which is what I wanted to talk about today. Which is more little bits of nostalgia news. There's an I Am Legend sequel coming hot on the heels of I Am Legend 1 20 years ago with Will Smith and Michael B. Jordan. We got the Obi-Wan Kenobi thing. We now have an announcement.
Everything.
There's a trailer coming out for a Puss in Boots movie.
Sure.
And I just wanted to wonder, just pose the question, have we had enough? Will we ever get enough? Like, is this snake almost done eating its own tail, or can we do this forever? Because I'm just going to throw some recent movies out there for you that have been big hits, starting with The Force Awakens. Then you have something like Spider-Man No Way Home, bringing back and referencing all the other universe of Spider-Man, spoiler alert. Scream 5, which is very self-consciously about the Scream franchise, winking at the camera the whole time. Ghostbusters Afterlife, the old guard, sort of handing it off to a new generation. Matrix 4, a absolute revisit and reevaluation of the original trilogy of the Matrix. Ralph Breaks the Internet, getting the cartoon world of like.
You don't even have to go back that. It's just everything. Movie. It's every movie. Ralph Breaks the Internet. It's every movie that came out last year. What are you talking about?
I guess the thing I wonder is like, it has to end at some point. Or no, it has to.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, we've had postmodern irony, which is what this builds on for many, many years now. And I think I felt about 20 years ago that postmodern irony would peter out, and it hasn't. It's just got bigger and bigger. So I think there probably is, a limitless amount of meta movies that they could make, especially now we've got so many platforms for content. They'll continue making those, and they'll continue making other stuff, indie stuff, Oscar bait, whatever.
But I guess you're right. I guess it has kind of just become its own genre, and something doesn't even need to be popular to get a self-referential meta look at itself. Like the trailer for the new Chippendale Rescue Rangers is all about like, we know that this was a goofy kids show and we're very breaking the fourth wall with it, and we're treating it like Star Wars basically, and bringing back Launchpad, and that's like a big oh my gosh moment.
I mean, I think that you can't get away from what's driving all this, which is, and it was already happening before the pandemic, but the pandemic obviously massively accelerated this trend. It's like there's a narrower and narrower range of the kinds of things people will go to a theater to see. Like it's not that there's not an audience. Like tons of people are talking about like Power of the Dog on Twitter this week. There's still an audience for all different kinds of movies and entertainment. But what people will motivate to like go to a theater opening weekend and see, it's got to like star a character they know. It's got to bring back characters they know. It's got to be part of an ongoing story or a franchise. People don't like to go sight unseen anymore. They're not just going to go. It's crazy to even think about. Like in the 80s, people used to go to a movie theater and they wouldn't even have a movie in mind. They'd go to a movie theater and they'd look at the marquee and be like, oh, I heard of that one. Oh, I think that one's got Tom Cruise in it. Let's go see that one. And now it's like, that's unthinkable. It's like everybody knows exactly what they're going to go see, or they don't bother to go. And I think that's what's behind it. And until that changes, this isn't going to change.
You think that there's no theoretical limit to how often and how many franchises can support a self-reflective like look back? Because I really think you can only do that once. Like the next Spider-Man can't be about bringing back.
I don't know where you're getting that from. Like that obviously, like the next Spider-Man is Doctor Strange, which is going to be doing the exact same thing, and then the Flash is going to do the exact same thing, and they're all going to start doing it. And it doesn't seem to me like the appetite among the public is diminishing. Like if anything, once it gets bigger, like Spider-Man was like, we're going to have actors coming back from years ago. We're going to cross studios. It just gets people more hyped for what the next one can do. Like, oh my God, now Patrick Stewart's going to come back and the whole Fox X-Men universe is going to collide with the MCU. Like, oh my God, and it's like, you can think about ways they could keep building it too. It's like, well, maybe DC characters are going to fight Marvel characters in the next
That's
few
when
years.
it's almost
maybe
done.
Dom Toretto's going to go to the Star Wars universe. Like, who knows? There's no limit to it.
Well, so there's that aspect. There's there's I guess two issues that are, or two trends. There's the crossover and the IP mashups that are dominating things today. And then you mentioned Fast and the Furious, where
because it's all the same. Because it's without, the point is that there isn't context. The point is it's just things you love and characters you love and bits and moments and scenes you love, and they're all colliding.
What about the meta-ness that I feel like we've hit? Have we hit peak meta where in Fast 9, like a subplot of that movie was Tyrese realizing he's in a movie and talking to the camera about like, I'm invincible. I think we're in a movie right now. Like if even that, and that's a huge thing in Matrix 4, in
saying,
Scream
like,
5.
Is postmodernism gonna stop?
No, not stop.
like no.
I guess my question is like, I'm not sure what my question is, just noticing that this is now what I think used to be like you get an adaptation once in a while, or like a weird fourth wall breaking movie. And now this is just the tone of mainstream franchise filmmaking is being like, hi, welcome to the movie. But this is the part of the movie where this happens.
But that's the difference, is that it's not all movies. It's this one kind of movie. And it just happens to be the only kind of movies that big studios now make for theaters. It's not like After Yang is on Showtime right now, and it's nothing like this. So like, I think that's an important distinction to make, that it's not all movies. It's like all movies that are aimed at the global mainstream audience. Mm-hmm. And that's part of it too, is like, this is the kind of entertainment that travels well around the world. Broad, it's signposts, and like, here's the part of the movie where we do this. And if you're not a native speaker, you're watching with subtitles, that's very helpful.
Sure.
And like the kinds of comedy, it's not super culturally specific. It's not like a lot of wordplay, and it's not intricate. It's like broad and visual.
So that just happened
everywhere. Right. And that translates everywhere.
That translates very easily. That's true. But Lon, there's also another type of film.
We come. So there's
one other film besides big franchise tentpoles that mash a bunch of IP together.
And I'll tell you what my first observation is. I just watched the film Red Notice, and the moment that I was done watching it on Netflix, I watched a trailer for that movie, The 355, with Jessica Chastain and Lupita Nyong'o and all the lady spies. And there were so many similarities. There were so many threads that were in both movies. And the more that I started looking out for it, the more I realized that these same threads are in a lot of movies. It's like a lot of quippy, smart alecky banter. Like there's 2 or 3 characters that don't like each other. Like Jungle Cruise was another one with The Rock like this, where it's like, it's not a lot of like set up punchline. It's not a lot of jokes. It's just like 2 characters who can't stop bickering.
So yeah, Lon, I want to pause you there, and then like, let's break down exactly what makes a movie a red notice.
Right.
So, because that's the other kind of movie.
It's a lot of bickering. You're on a globe-trotting adventure, going to multiple. You're not in one location. You're going to the jungle, and then you got to go this place, and then you got to go this place, and that's tied into because you're on some kind of a mission or quest. But beyond that, it's like there's always heists and stuff. You're always like, we got to go get in there and get this key,
get the golden egg from
get the MacGuffin out,
get the
and
MacGuffin.
Keep it, and then go round up the 3 MacGuffins and go like Free Guy is another one I just watched that's like this, where it's like the movie is like it's about video games, but it's also like a video game structurally, where it's like, now we've got this mission, and now we've got this mission, and now we've got this mission. Also,
so I will say this also, all of these seem to star The Rock and or Ryan Reynolds.
That's a big one.
Which I think is something that these are more celebrity driven than franchise driven. And this is like the last vestige. This is your last option if you're a celebrity, is either do a limited series, like a limited series drama and try to win an Emmy, or you got to do a red notice.
But a lot of these options are meant as franchise lead-ins. That's part of it too. Like 355, Red Notice, like they always end with and this is the team, and they're going to do 4 more adventures just like this one. We also have to have a lot of sequences that look like it's like much like the banter where it's like not jokes, but it's like a lot of like back and forth, like simulating what a comedy movie would be like. There's also action like that, like not a lot of big action scenes, but like the suggestion, like every once in a while they'll have to fight somebody, or like that Ryan Reynolds scaffolding scene in Red Notice, where it's like leaning in the direction of an action scene, but without actually ever like arriving there. And I think that's everything. There tend to be sequences that look like they were obviously shot in like a warehouse, and then the set was projected onto the people.
Yeah.
That
So
happens a lot.
Kim, how's this tracking for you? Do you think these are the two movies we have, either a giant franchise nostalgia filled a requel or a Red Notice?
I mean, if we're talking about playing in theaters, yes, quite possibly. But you know, we all know that West Side Story bombed at the box office, right?
Sadly.
Sad. Did you say badly or sadly?
No, sadly.
Sadly, yeah, yes, I agree. So for whatever reason, audiences were not in this time willing to go and see that, but they are willing to go and see the Batman, which is not like either of these actually. I would say it's
the Batman doesn't have to be a Red Notice because it's the Batman. People want to go see it because they want to see Batman.
But I also think I wouldn't have said that it was a particularly meta leaning film either.
The Batman is on its own pathway where they just try to get tiptoe closer and closer to an NC-17 Batman movie. Just every 10 years we get one step closer to it.
But then we're talking, I mean, Red Notice, did that come out in theaters over there? Or did
Netflix did the week that they dropped it on Netflix, they did release it in major cities as like, hey, this is a real movie too. It was in some theater. I don't think it did particularly well because it's on Netflix, but
yeah. I'd say Army of the Dead, which I mentioned earlier as well, is one of these films.
Yeah.
And Uncharted, a big new one. That's
for sure. Yeah, that's a perfect Red Notice. I'll tell you the scene. A fancy car pulls up outside of a gala. The star gets out there. Either if it's a lady fronted one, they're in a very glamorous, sexy gown. If it's a male fronted one, a tux or a really nice suit. And then there's like a voiceover, like giving you the expert rundown, like international art thief. He's wanted in 12 countries. He's in pursuit of the greatest prize known to man, the Cleopatra diamond. And like that's, if you see that,
you're in a Red Notice.
You're in a Red Notice. A Red Notice is happening around you.
Now, what other? Those are the two big. Yeah, Ryan says you might be a Red Notice.
The Foxworthy of film critics, like, if your film has The Rock or Ryan Reynolds, you might be a Red Notice.
If someone's wearing a Henley and says that just happened, you might be a Red Notice.
Oh my god! Yeah.
If you take a sip of a drink and it happens to be the co-lead's shared vanity tequila brand, you might be in a Red Notice.
That's another good one. It's like, yeah, there's definitely like at least one of the stars has their own branded alcohol that is on display in the film for sure.
What other genres are there though? Like, I guess
it's like four. There's
four.
Also like animated family.
There's family films. There's Red Notice. There's Force Awakens. Family films, and then I think that there's also horror. Horror is still a thing, just because you can make it so cheaply.
Although largely now horror has become horror comedy
or horror.
Mainstream.
We're getting there's a lot of the horror, like nostalgia reference movies too. You got that Saw one,
the Halloween franchise,
and Scream was just that. And then they're doing like Candyman was like very referential. And
so really it's just A24 horror, where like, the lamb represents grief or whatever.
Right. They're about grief and trauma.
Well, although I would say that has a lot of comedy in it, right, Lamb?
Yeah, but like Halloween and Texas Chainsaw, like that's the standard for horror now too, and it is kind of the same idea of like mash up the history of the brand.
Yeah,
but I don't. I mentioned the Batman. We've got Zack Snyder's Batman films as well, which have the same tone. So maybe there's something in that. This overly serious superhero movie that's
its own kind of. Its own genre is the grimdark,
the grimdark R-rated. It's got Joker, Logan, like that's its own subgenre.
Joker should be its own
Yeah.
You're
Just-
either a Red Notice, a Joker, a Force Awakens,
Yeah.
or an Encanto.
Yeah.
Okay, we did it.
We did it.
figured out what movies we have. Luckily, there's still television. But hey, I want to hear from you.
There's still lots of there's so many great movies. So
And
many
there
great
are-
movies just in the last year. If you seek them out, they are out there. It's just that people stream them now. They don't go see them.
Yeah,
in theaters.
and it is really just scared executives trying to save their own ass and responding to market forces of like,
What?
these are the types of movies people
Yeah.
leave
I
their
don't
house
know
to
if you
see.
can even really blame the executives anymore. Like there is an audience for Drive My Car. They're just not in America going to theaters to see Drive My Car. They're watching it on HBO.
Yeah, but I want to know what y'all think we're watching, because this is we're making some broad generalizations here, and you may or may not agree. So
Drive My Car, not a Red Notice.
not a red. Is it a Joker? I haven't seen
No,
it yet.
no.
Okay.
It's a Vanya.
It's a Vanya. Is it an A24?
It's an Uncle Vanya.
Okay. Or what was that? Lock? Was that the Tom Hardy movie where he never?
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
Is it a
yes.
lock?
It's no.
Okay.
There's at least 4 locations over the course of.
Is it a
3
phone
hours.
booth? Is it a Colin Farrell phone booth?
Mm.
All right, so
Yeah.
let's go into the chat. People have been responding as we've been talking, and also please like and subscribe if you like or dislike everything we have to say. Would certain film I was gonna say dislike, but you can't do that anymore. Checkmate, YouTube. Adam Hulbert, would certain filmmakers like J.J. Abrams and Colin Trevorrow have a career if their movies weren't so nostalgia-like? Oh yeah, Jurassic Park, that's a big one.
Oh yeah.
And the new Jurassic Park is like, come on back, Laura Dern.
Reference
like,
movie,
get on in
baby. Yeah,
Kind of a red notice at times too, honestly. The
ooh,
Jurassic
is that
Park
the
movie.
synthesis? Yeah,
Oh, wait, a reference movie can also be a Red Notice.
that's true. I mean, Jumanji
Red
is
Notice 2 will be both a Red Notice and a
Yeah.
reference movie.
Yep. So J.J. Abrams and Colin Trevorrow, would they have a career? I mean, I don't know.
Listen, I want to speak up for JJ. He has gone astray. I think all of us
Yes.
who watched Rise of Skywalker were like, "Oh no, this is disappointing." But like that original Star Trek reboot he did was great.
Excellent.
I like obviously like the early stuff. Like he did a lot of stuff that was terrific. He produced a lot of films that I value. Like I don't think like Mission Impossible 3 is really good. Like I think there's a lot of J.J. Abrams work that is great and will live on and is viable. And it's just like he's kind of disappeared a little.
And I mean, like Alias, Felicity, Lost, Fringe.
Right.
Like he's like even if he never made a movie, he'd be like a respected creator.
Yeah, I mean, like I think Super 8 is pretty good. I don't love everything about it, but it's pretty good. And he produced Cloverfield, and like there's lots of good JJ.
And Trevorrow, I think we have our answer because he made the Book of Henry.
Listen.
Henry.
The thing about JJ Abrams, I gotta be honest. I never even really loved Safety Not Guaranteed, the original Trevorrow. And he's always I've always kind of been lost on the appeal of that stuff. I don't know. Even before Book of Henry.
Yeah, that's a whole topic for another
I don't
episode. Is the are these people being plucked too soon and
But
mashed
right.
into the studio system?
Well, yeah,
whereas
I
J.J.
mean-
Abrams like had time to express himself before he got handed a Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, like Trevorrow did, Safety Not Guaranteed. It's not a franchise thing or a nostalgia thing. It's an original story.
I mean, they could take a step back. It's just a choice.
It is, but it's sort of the choice between would you like to have a Hollywood career or no? And like it's not a choice of like would you like to have a Hollywood career and like once you have it, here are your options. It's sort of like there's like a handful of Jordan Peele's and David Fincher's that get to make what they really want, and then everybody else who's making studio films is like, which one do you want? You want Stretch Armstrong or you want Connect Four? What do you want?
Tetris, that's coming soon.
Yeah.
Langley Neely writes, I find it fascinating Deborah Chow can film Tatooine way better than any of Robert Rodriguez's stuff in Boba Fett. Did
we
Deborah
know
Chow
that?
do Boba Fett episodes or is she doing
No, she's
Obi-Wan?
doing Obi-Wan.
Yeah. I mean, it looked good. Yeah.
Some
Uh,
Mandalorian, didn't she?
Yes, she did. She's done individual episodes of Mandalorian, and I believe she directed the whole Obi-Wan show.
Yeah. Okay.
She
Yeah, I
was at
mean,
least
like
the lead person, and maybe she didn't direct every single episode on a credit by credit basis, but she might have. I just don't know. I'll look
I
it up.
thought so, but I could be wrong.
It could be.
Yeah, Tatooine. Sure, I think we've all seen plenty of Tatooine.
They made the Boba Fett trailers look cool. Like you couldn't tell that show wasn't going to work for the trailers. The jury's still out on this one. I'd say.
Adam Hubbard asks, was nostalgia ever good? The movies referenced by the newer movies were good to begin with without nostalgia. And that's what I'm concerned with, is like all the things that are being referenced are the films of the 70s and 80s, which I think existed because of why did these movies exist? It is a long story. Like Spielberg and Lucas creating this like 4-quadrant, like family friendly, something everybody could enjoy adventure, but like original, like sure they were inspired by other movies and they were taking from the whole history of film, but they weren't based on anything except like their own kind of hodgepodge magpie nest of their imagination. And like, I don't think we'll ever get another thing like that except like Avatar, right? Is that the last one we got?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I think, you love films for these films from those eras nostalgically for a reason. It's an era. It reminds you of whatever, your childhood. I get very excited when something like that seems to be being given the chance to have a new life, a new injection of life into it, and then inevitably there is an amount of disappointment to it, almost always, I would say, because it's just not possible to recapture those feelings.
Yeah.
Here's what I would say. It's not that nostalgia is bad. Like a lot of these movies that we're looking at that we love in the first place, we're already nostalgic for something else. Like a lot of those early Lucas and Spielberg movies were nostalgic for the 50s and the 60s when those guys were kids and growing up, and they were making homages to things they loved when they were young. So it's not nostalgia that's inherently bad. It's the lack of originality and context. It's like I think it's the context is mostly. I feel like we're getting a lot of like Ready Player One, where it's like Freddy's in it and Chucky's in it and the Iron Giant is in it, but they're not themselves. It's not them in the context of how they exist in their original story. It's just them like running around. Like it's visually them, but it doesn't link up in any way. It's not meaningful because it's just remember some guys. And I feel like this whole genre has become remember some guys, the genre, and like a lot and I would say No Way Home, I think had so much impact. It was so good because it's the exception. Like they did a good job of figuring out a way to make these characters actually work in a story together, and they gave it an arc, and it had real dynamic. Like Garfield and Maguire get to like pay off their arcs from their Spider-Man movies, and that's what makes it work. And there's a lot of other reference movies where they're just like, we got him back. Remember that guy? And it's like
Space Jam 2, like really paid off the arc of the
Nothing.
Droogs from Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, it's just like they're there, and it's like, look, they're there. We're like, great job, you put them there. Well done.
There.
And I think that's the key difference.
Yeah. All right. Let's table this for now because there's some other good topics that I want to cover just briefly. John Bainbridge asks, we've had pig, lamb, and dog movies this year. What animal gets a movie next? And also, I'd like to hear your ranking of those animals and films.
Well, there was also First Cow last year. Let's not forget that.
Let's throw First Cow in there. Yeah.
And Cow, isn't there Andrew Arnold's Cow as well?
Yes, you're right. There's another cow.
I'm familiar with that one.
I have not seen Channing Tatum in Dog, so I can only say that I liked both Pig and Lamb. I think I liked Pig. Pig was maybe my favorite movie of last year, so I'd say Pig 1, Lamb 2. But I like both.
Yeah, I really like Pig, and I thought Lamb was like almost a parody of an A24 horror movie, but I still like that. Yeah, so I would and Dog TBD. I still gotta watch Dog. And I love First Cow. First Cow and Pig might be tied for me as number one.
I haven't seen Dog, but Lamb is my favorite. I love the other three, but Lamb pips it, then Pig, then First Cow, then.
If you had to make a film based on the single name of a animal, what would it be?
Capybara.
They're very cute. They're very cute.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lon, you have one in your back pocket?
I mean, I'll just say, Crocodile. Why not? Sounds like that could be a good film. They freak me out. That's why.
That's good. Okay, yeah.
I think there's something they don't feel like real animals. There's something like
there must
wrong.
be a crocodile already.
There's got to be one. Yeah,
A movie just called Crocodile. Probably.
Yeah, there must be.
I know there's Lake Placid.
Yeah, there's a lot of obviously with crocodile
crocs in
bad
it.
guys. But, yeah.
I'm going Donkey. I'm seeing Donkey. I don't know what it's about, but
It's obviously a Shrek spinoff.
done. Sold.
Yeah.
Oh,
Come on.
Wow. All right. I think that about
But it was a donkey.
Donkey. That I think does it for us. Because what can we do except go back and reference things we said earlier? And we're done with that. All original for here on out.
You guys remember when I was talking about a Red Notice? What makes the movie Red Notice? That was great.
So yes, we'll see you next time when we do a more streamlined, definitive video, just simply titled "You Might Be a Red Notice." I feel like I'm going to be saying that a lot from now on. But Kim, Lon, thank you for joining me, and thank you for watching. We'll see you soon next time on SJU. Bye bye.